Madam Vice President, thank you very much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
And I want to ask you, my first question will be about Greece and the improvements on the economy. All this hard work that Greece and the Greek people did the last few years. And since you are visiting here, you had meetings. Talk a little bit to us about Greece and the achievements of the last few years.
The first words must be congratulations. This is a major achievement. Now Greece is out of the program, out of enhanced surveillance. It's not only a normal Eurozone economy, it's a well-performing Eurozone economy. There's been suffering and pain, but I think this speaks very highly both of Greek leadership, but also of the society as such. And now, you see the way for growth, sustainable growth, and where you also see employment increasing. So I think very, very good.
My second question has to do with the digital age. Digital improvements are very important for all the countries in this new era. And I want to ask you about Greece and the improvements that Greece and this government have made on this important issue.
Well, I see a lot in Europe, but it's almost unprecedented, the progress being made, in particular in the public sector. So, for instance, the vaccine rollout. Now that the applications both for power pass, for subsidies, for renovating buildings, all of that done digitally. I think it was not possible. And I think it shows that in Greece, technology is used to create a better society. And that is indeed the point. And here, the progress being made, I find it very encouraging.
Energy, the big issue of the day, because of the illegal invasion by Russia in Ukraine. Even before that, we had problems on energy because of the pandemic. All the people around Europe feel this pressure on energy bills and everything. How important Greece as a country is on this fight, and how you see the policies that the Greek government applied on this problem?
What I see here when it comes to energy and softening the shock from higher energy prices, Greece both plays a role in the region to enable, for instance, for gas to travel, to be made available, but also the very targeted support to make sure that the most vulnerable households actually get support in order to soften the blow. Of course, not completely possible, but I think both the regional role and the European role being played, and also the very targeted approach here, I think that is recommendable.
Thank you for that answer. And then we can go now to the more free discussion on your impressive portfolio here. You are also responsible for the defense, space and industries. Because of the invasion of Russia, we have defense, the European defense is at the forefront. Do you see a role by Greece on this defense issue, and also Greece is trying to do some take some steps on space. Do you see a role of Greece in this framework, the European framework?
I do see a role for Greece also when it comes to defense and space. Greece, for a very long time, investing in its defense and having a defense industry. So part of what we're trying to do is to make sure that in all European projects that there is room also for smaller member states and for smaller businesses, both when it comes to defense and space. And we were very successful in doing so in sort of the pilot to the European Defence Fund, because I think some would have the fear that this is only for big countries with big military industrial complexes. But I do think that there is a role to play, because we're very cautious that when we invest together, it should indeed be for more countries than the big ones. It should also be for a country like Greece to play a role with the experience that you have here.
Another big issue is the digital taxation. You are at the forefront of this fight at the European Commission. Many people, including me, we are listening about Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, all this talk about, and you know, these companies are everyday life for the whole planet almost. How important is the effort by the European Union and the Commission on this front for the everyday life of the people of the European Union?
Well, for me, it's a question of fundamental fairness. Because, you know, normal businesses, they work very hard to make a profit. From that profit, they pay their taxes. And they are confronted with competitors who, to put it mildly, organize their tax payment. So this is why we keep pushing, both with the state aid cases where I have a responsibility, but also with the global agreement that at least corporate taxation should be 15% effectively. So not just normally, not just on paper, but effectively 15%. But also that, you know, giant companies should sort of put taxable income where they do their business, instead of just, you know, making it all seep back to headquarters, because where value is created, it should also be taxed. It takes a lot of time. Progress is slow, but there is progress. And I think that is the comfort, because I think every citizen should expect that tax fairness is absolutely top of mind.
Then, another big issue, competition, fair competition. Here in Greece, the government is trying to do a lot of improvements on this front, but it's a European issue, the fair competition. Can you talk a little bit about the efforts on this front?
Well, first and foremost, you know, I work very closely with the national competition authorities, also here. Because sometimes it's the national market where something is at stake, and then it's for the national competition authority. Where it's something European at stake, or more than 3 member states, we will have to take care of it. And it is important. We just, you know, opened another case where we thought that Google and Meta, so Facebook, had agreed to push out a third competitor of the advertising market. So, you know, we will keep pursuing this, and we just passed new legislation to make sure that every business have a fair chance, so that it depends on your idea, your work ethic, your funding, if you will be successful, and not on whether you can be found, or whether you can have your data, whether you can reach your customer. So this is a top priority for us, to make sure that competition is a real thing, because it produces choice and affordable prices and innovation in the marketplace. And we need all three for people to be able to go about their lives.
And how about personal privacy? It's an important issue for many people with all these huge companies, the social media and everything. People are worried that her personal life is not protected.
I think this is a real worry, it's a real concern, because we have legislation that protects you, but it's really difficult for oneself to make use of these sort of digital citizens' rights. So the national regulator, they are pushing to make this more effective. And in new legislation just being passed, we want to make sure that your data is not being combined. For instance, sensitive data about who you are, how you see yourself politically, with your gender, that it cannot be combined with other data for advertising purposes. So that you can actually, you know, have yourself without being, you know, bombarded with ads that try to lure you into, you know, doing something or buying something that you actually did not imagine.
Artificial intelligence. People are worried that the machines, as they say, simply will take over everyday life, jobs will be lost because of artificial intelligence. How about that?
Well, some jobs will be lost while other jobs are being created, which is of course why the access to training, to gain new skills is absolutely crucial. I think the most important thing is that we can trust that we are not being discriminated. For instance, in public sector, if artificial intelligence is used to help out a doctor, that's the technology doesn't think that women are less important than men when it comes to looking at symptoms for a heart attack. Or in the employment sector, if artificial intelligence is there to help the advisor, that they don't think that your risk of staying unemployed is bigger if you have this postal code than that postal code. Because if we can fix that, then we can use artificial intelligence to help out, but only if we trust it. And that is what we're trying to create right now.
And finally, a more sensitive and more difficult question that has to do with the European Union as a whole. You are the Vice President of the European Commission with a huge portfolio, as we discussed here. There is some kind of disappointment around the people of the European Union because of the crisis with Ukraine and the economic hardship that creates for the everyday people. And people don't see a concrete strategy from the Commission, from the European Union in general, to deal with this. Also, some people say that the European Union, the European Commission are running late on formulating this strategy. The developments run in front of them, and it's getting worse day by day. How you feel about that? What's the feeling in Brussels, in the Commission about this? And do you see that you will be able, as a Commission, as a European Union, to change that feeling among the people? It's a difficult question, I know.
It's a difficult question, and of course the test of that is how people see the European part of their democracy. Because the long-term strategies that we have is to be climate neutral, to make best use of digital in order to create better societies, and for societies to be inclusive, so that you feel at home in your society. And of course, these sort of long-term strategies, we use them when we fight big problems that occur. And the tool that we use is the tool of unity, creating unity all the time. So with the vaccine strategy, that every member state could start vaccinating citizens on the same date. With the Corona Pass, that we have technology to help us to get out again, to say, well, I'm vaccinated or I'm recovered. And actually now, I think 80 countries outside of the Union, they're using also the Corona Pass. It could be when it comes to energy, sort of the Repower EU strategy, in order to accelerate the green transition, but also for member states to help out each other. And of course, when it comes to Ukraine, the sanctions, which is at an unprecedented level, and keeping together not only member states, but also the global coalition with the US, with Canada, with Japan, with South Korea, the countries that is helping out to put that pressure on Putin, the aggressor that has brought war back to Europe. And I think it takes time to see that it's actually working. And also it's our job to make sure that it's working so that people can get on with their lives. Because right now, everything is so uncertain. When you put down a foot, you don't know if the ground will be wobbly or actually steady. But steady is what we want, because we want investment to increase, we want people to engage, we want employment to be there. So, of course, we should do our best, and we try, but if we're successful, it's for every European to judge.
Thank you very much for the interview, for talking to ERT and the fruitful discussion. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much again.
It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.